Hi, I'm James and welcome to another review. Today we're going to review Warlord's Panzer 38T, designed for bolt action but obviously usable with any 28mm game. So let's open it up and have a look what we've got inside. So a very nice box to start off with, plenty of nice colour illustrations on there, contents list, everything you'd expect. So let's have a look. Okay, so put the box to one side. So we've got an instruction booklet, tells us a bit about the tank. We've got two parts lists for the two sprues, and then we've got the actual instructions to put it together. Fairly straightforward. And then we've got 5 different versions as a painting guide. So what else have we got? Let's have a look at the sprues themselves first. They're moulded in the mid-grey plastic, which is fairly typical. We've got a sprue that basically covers the hull. Okay, yeah, that's nice and straightforward. I'm guessing they've done the hull and turret separately to allow for the variants, such as the Marder that was developed from it, and the Hetzer, which was developed off the same chassis. So that's the hull sprue. This is the turret sprue. 2 tank commanders on it, one for early war and one for mid to late war. We'll talk about that a little bit. So being bolt action, so who's it packed by? Vaz, thank you Vaz for packing. We've got the transfer sheet. Now it's interesting, in there you've got a fair few variations. You've got Hungarian, you've got Romanian and Bulgarian, so we've got 3 different forces there. It was also used by the Czech insurgents when they tried to declare independence in 1944, something that's a lot less heard of than the Warsaw Uprising. So you can actually legitimately use it against the Germans quite happily. Okay, we've then got the typical bolt action stats card for it. In game terms, it's roughly, well, it's actually identical to an early model Panzer III. Okay, yeah, it's got all the stats there, nothing you wouldn't expect there. And then, as we come to expect from Warlord, we've got the 3 damage tokens there. I always like those, I think they're quite nice. I'm probably going to pick up some spare at some point just to get myself some nice damage markers. I use them for other things as well. They're great for calling in artillery fire, for markers for that, things like that. So I've actually already bought one of these. This is actually the second one. So here's the first one, all complete and assembled. What I'll do is I'll get some close-up shots of that, and I'll talk through what I thought of it. So here's the vehicle I've already made in close-up. Trying a new thing this time, using a little turntable to actually give the view of it rather than a series of photos. Now the model went together really easily. The tracks were far better than I thought they would be, having had a real nightmare assembling the Tiger ones. This one, I actually looked back and couldn't see where the fit was for them, which is always a good sign. Now there are variant parts for a couple of different models. I've made this one up as the ASC, which doesn't have a toolbox on the right side. That would actually be just there, but it does have a wooden box on the opposite side. So you have that. There's also something at the rear hull, just here. That is only present from the C onwards. So I'm going to make the other one up slightly differently. I haven't decided which version I'm going to use for that yet. The only thing I found that was really fiddly is there are some very small little bits on this, which are more like a model kit than wargaming kit. If you look at the back of the hull, you'll see there's 3 hooks, for example, and there's 2 at the front. They were a nightmare to get in place. Everything else was really, really easy. Now, an interesting little fact I like with this is the 2 machine guns. There's one coaxial and one in the hull, although it does note that the hull one was often removed in command variants and just blanked over plate, and it does give you a blank over plate to do that. But interestingly, there's no statistics for it either in the box or in the armies of Germany. So, bit of an oddity that. Basically, I would treat it as a command vehicle as per Tank War, but then just remove that machine gun, giving you some points back for the cost of the command vehicle. I haven't figured out how many yet. Since I haven't built it, I probably won't. Now, the machine guns were the Czech ZB53, known as the MG37T. T stands for Czech in German service. Now, the ZB53 is probably more well known in Britain by another name, which is the Beezer. It actually is identical to the machine gun used by British tanks of the same era. One of those obscure little facts that I hadn't picked up on, but considering a lot of British machine guns were copies of Czech designs or developments of Czech designs, even the Bren was, it's not particularly surprising that the machine guns are the same. And if you look at it in close-up, you'll see it looks remarkably like what you see in the front of, for example, a Churchill. So, interesting little bit, odd bit of history there. Hopefully you found that review useful. If you have, let me know. If anyone who's a manufacturer out there has got a nice little turntable they'd like me to review to replace this little manual one so it's a lot smoother, please feel free to send it to me and I'll quite happily review it and use it. Hopefully you found that useful anyway, and I'll see you soon for another review.